Italian master of horror Dario Argento returns to his cinematic homeland Italy with this dark and unnerving movie, the Stendhal Syndrome. And boy, what a return it was. After directing 2 misfire movies in the United States, the Black Cat segment of Two Evil Eyes and Trauma, this movie was a shocking kick in the stomach. This movie has gone on to divide horror fans because of its dark subject matter of rape and its wildly different style from other Argento films. Anna Manning, played by Asia Argento, is an Italian cop who is after a serial rapist that is running loose in Italy. He has killed his last 2 victims, turned him into a serial killer as well. Anna has got an anonymous lead that the rapist will be at an art museum in Florence, and she must track him down. When she enters the museum, she starts to feel very strange and can hear the paintings. She has the Stendhal syndrome, an odd sickness that occurs when you're surrounded by too much beauty. She enters into one painting in a daze, while in real life she passes out and hits a table during her fall. Anna wakes up not knowing who she is, and runs into the handsome but odd Alfredo, played by Thomas Kincherman. Something's off as her gun is now missing from her purse. Anna returns to her hotel room trying to figure out who she really is. She enters into another painting after taking some sleeping pills, when suddenly someone knocks at her door. It's Alfredo, and he has her gun. Alfredo rapes Anna while she blacks out. When she comes to, he is raping another woman by gunpoint in a car, while she is in the other seat. Alfredo shoots the other woman in the face, while Anna makes a run for it. Anna escapes with her life, but she is now a marked woman, traumatized by her run-in with Alfredo. Anna starts changing in some very odd ways and slowly becomes insane, but I don't want to spoil the rest for you. Stendhal Syndrome is a very dark and bleak movie. The rape scenes are the biggest deal breakers for most viewers, as they are extremely uncomfortable. But that's the main point. They're supposed to be. Honestly, not much is actually shown in the rapes. They're over fast, and most of the action is in eerie close-ups of the attackers and the victims' faces. Asia Argento is giving one of her best performances in this movie. Anna Manning is one of the darkest and heartbreaking protagonists in all of Dario Argento's work. She is very unusual because she has a huge character arc for an Italian horror movie character. The whole movie is around her character and the evolution she goes from cop to victim to attacker. In many ways, this is Dario and Asia's rape revenge movie. And Asia really delivers. We first see her as a normal-looking girl in the museum, and then when she cuts her hair, she's a cool badass. By the end, when she puts on the blonde wig, she turns into a mysterious wolf in sheep's clothing that might strike at any time. All the other performances are good too, especially Thomas Kinderman, who is a absolutely perfect, unnerving creep as Alfredo. He's just chilling every time he pops up on screen. In the first rape scene, where he pulls out a razor and puts it into his mouth, is nightmare fuel of the highest kind. The movie is also full of symbolism. Blood is everywhere, and that's how Alfredo targets Anna. He sees her bloody lip and wants it to stay that way. During most of the movie, Anna is cutting herself to see the blood as a reminder of what happened that night. Razors are also used a lot during the film. In one scene, Alfredo is sitting by Anna after a rape, and he pulls out a razor. He inserts it into his hand and then carries on slicing Anna's face with it. The scene could almost be read as a marriage ritual between these two disturbed people. The movie also messes with gender roles and sex in very interesting ways. After Anna's first rape, she starts to dress like a boy. She also starts doing managed activities like boxing, and in a very strange and off-putting scene starts actually dry humping her boyfriend. She finally does become comfortable with sex when she meets a man who just happens to have a female name, Marie. Art is also everywhere in this movie, with plenty of styles to reflect all the characters. Classical art inside the museum to start the Stendhal Syndrome, Anna's disturbing self-made art to show her inner rage, and even the graffiti in Alfredo's rape pit shows the sleazy side of him. In one scene, Anna becomes a piece of art herself as she covers herself in paint and starts rolling around on the floor on the open campus. The Stendhal Syndrome also looks amazing, with some of the best cinematography in any of Dario Argento's films. The whole film is sweaty and eerie, with some very moody lighting that shows some nice contrast with shadows. Some of the best shots in the movie come from Argento wearing the blonde wig looking like a classic femme fatale character. The soundtrack by Ennio Morricone is haunting, with female moans that perfectly matches the film. The only real downside to the film, other than the rape scenes, is the CGI work. Stendhal Syndrome was the first Italian film to use CGI, but it's very dated early 90s CGI. The shots of the sleeping pills going down Anna's throat are pretty bad, as well as the bullet through the cheek. Stendhal Syndrome is a very Hitchcockian film. It's one of Argento's best films, and sadly his last truly great movie to date. It's full of so many great twists and turns, and it's extremely rewatchable. Argento gives one of her best performances, and is simply amazing in it. This movie isn't for everyone, but it's a haunting thriller. It's really worth a look.